We are with the awesome Ari Ackerman. You're a man that wears a bunch of different hats.
I ran a company for many years. I'm involved in a baseball team too. It's almost been this upward slope of my involvement and Jewish advocacy.
The two most important elements in my life are my beautiful family and my Jewish identity.
You have a very strong tie. Where did that tie start from?
My grandfather was literally one of the founders of the state of Israel, was the former president of the UJA.
You have a role as a family member, as a strong member of the community, but none of that is not tied to your Jewish identity. It's all connected.
I'm very proud to come from a Zionistic but very philanthropic family.
Making sure the Jewish people survive and are here for a long, long time is a major priority.
Since October 7th, that has become absolutely my mission, my passion to do all I can for our people.
At Columbia University, I stood strong with my Jewish and Christian brothers and sisters to fight anti-Semitism, support Israel, and demand to bring the hostages home.
They know the extent of the hatred that would take place. I don't think anybody was prepared for that, because as Jews, I feel like we support other communities, and it's massively disappointing.
It's almost like my mom and my grandfather are saying, this is what you need to do, right? And I hope I'm making them proud every second. This is what I was sort of born to do.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Mislaibeled. We are here in the Hamptons. First of all, if you're watching this, if you could please like, subscribe, and comment. We're working very, very hard. It'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. Okay, so as I just said, we're here in the Hamptons. I've never been here before. We are with the awesome Ari Ackerman, who I think I've been trying to get you on this podcast now for like a year.
It's been a little bit.
Like a year, and I've been bothering you. I bother you once a month, and I bother you for like 4 days in a row, and then it doesn't work, and then I start again and bother you
But
again.
it wasn't a bother. It was a very, it was a good approach to it.
Honored.
Yeah,
Why is that?
It's a steady nudge.
It's a steady nudge. What a great line. I'm going to use that, by the way. I kind of feel like that's what it was. But I wanted to do it. It's just a matter of timing when it
just didn't work.
Yeah.
To the degree, there was one day I remember you were like, I'm going to let you know in the morning. And we were like all ready to go. Like, not ready. And just, no, you shouldn't feel bad. It happens to be. It's like life things work out for a reason. That day, it was like a good thing. By the end of the day, that didn't happen. It was going to be like a crazy, like 3 day in a row, like ringer. And I was like, all right, let's just get Ari in as well to make it happen. It ended up being very good that you canceled.
Listen, now you get to come to the Hamptons, right? So it actually, beshert that you're here.
Yes. Because we would have had to come to the city.
That's right.
Which would have been, and I'd rather be here. First of all, this place is sick. If you're watching this, you should be jealous. And if Ari ever invites you to his house, you should show up.
Very nice. Thank you.
We have to. Do you do any parties here? Like,
I do a lot of parties here.
When do those happen? What dates?
Well,
just asking for a friend.
And we'll definitely let you know. We'll see how the interview goes. We'll see if we get you invited to the next one.
At least that's an honest answer.
But you're on the charts. It's a potential.
I love. Wow. I'm on it. Well, then I
both of you. I extend that to both.
We have to
and your extended family over here too.
Oh wow.
Appreciate
Real
it.
honor. Okay, Ari Ackerman. I did as much research as I could about you beforehand, but you're a man that wears a bunch of different hats. So I am very curious, first of all, as a broad sense, just to get an understanding of what you do right now, but I just take me back, because this is always where I like to start, like where you grew up, and just like, you're a proud Jew. That's just like starter, obviously, you're heavily politically involved.
Yeah, well, politically involved and proud Jew, two different things, but both.
Yeah.
Very loud and proud Jew, especially since October 7th.
Wow.
But always, really, always. You see my Israeli and American flags flying right
Amazing.
outside.
Yeah. And that was before October 7th?
Oh, of course.
I love it.
My mom was actually born in Israel. My grandfather and grandmother were grade school sweethearts in Tel Aviv. Grade school, not just high school, grade school. Yeah, they had houses across from each other on Rothschild Boulevard when it was like a dirt road in Tel Aviv. And they used to scream, Rothschild. And they used to scream, love notes, love chants at each other, which is the great story. Yeah, it's great. It's great. We actually,
that's crazy.
My aunt and my family put benches in our name, right? Actually, in between the spot where they both lived in Tel Aviv. So and we go visit that spot. But anyway, that's way back. But an important place to start in terms of who I am.
Yeah, for sure. And you grew up where?
I grew up in New York City.
You did grow up.
Yeah, my mom was born in Israel, as I said, but they came over to the States when she was very young, and we grew up on the Upper East Side of Manhattan.
Upper East Side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my whole life I heard about the Lower East Side, and then when I got older, I realized it's the Upper West Side and Upper East Side that is...
That's like, the movie Crossing Delancey. Like, the Lower East Side is where the Jews first started.
Yes.
Then we moved uptown, and some of us were up there. And to answer your question before, my background, I went to a yeshiva day school, Ramaz, in Manhattan. which a lot of people don't know about me, actually, that I actually had a modern Orthodox yeshiva background.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Where would you say you are now with that?
I'd say I fit more in the conservative spectrum of Judaism.
Got it. That's
Very proud Jew, but not, I feel your yarmulkes, but I don't raise the yarmulke. Right?
I love it.
Feel bad.
We're all on a spectrum when it comes to that.
Yeah, we're all on the spectrum in a lot of ways, I feel like. But with yarmulkes, in religion, very proud to be Jewish, but not necessarily the most religious Jew you'll ever meet.
Got it. Specifically, before October 7th, you were involved in politics, right? What was your involvement?
Well,
politically, like you really burst onto the scene, obviously, as an Israel supporter post October 7th, and you've been
maybe on the Instagram scene, but I feel like in the Jewish party scene or in the Jewish activism scene, I was always there. I was giving speeches in front of CUNY's chancellor's office last year when the horrific thing happened with the law school graduation. I don't know if you remember all that stuff. So I was doing activism, definitely, and I've always been a loud and proud Jew, and I've hosted dozens and dozens of Jewish organizations in my home, proudly. So philanthropically, I've always been a very strong member of the Jewish community, and just anybody that knows me knows my priorities in life are family and Jewish continuity. Making sure the Jewish people survive and are here for a long, long time is a major priority of mine.
Where did that come from? Like that specific, like I personally, my grandparents were Holocaust survivors, and to my detriment, there's a little bit of like there was a water down, and to me, even for myself, I don't feel that connection nearly as much as I feel there are a lot of people that have backgrounds different to mine, and because of that, I don't know what it is with me, but specifically, you have a very strong tie. And what's that? Right. Where did that tie start from? Your parents?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's a question I get, an easy answer for me. It starts with my grandfather, who I just described, and my grandmother, who really instilled in us this sense of strong Jew, give all you can and more, Israel, Zionism in their hearts and souls, and that passed on from generation to generation. And then my mom. I lost my grandfather about 3 years ago. I lost my mom about 11 years ago. But in the combination of them instilled in me the pride and the sense of tikkun olam and proud Jew and doing all you can. My sister and I like to joke that our house growing up in New York City was like a Jewish catering hall, because literally she hosted every Jewish organization to come over and raise money for them and do good things for the community. And that became like in our heart and definitely in mine. As a sense of this is our obligation in life. You have a role as a father, as a family member, as a strong member of the community, but none of that is not tied to your Jewish identity. It's all connected. And that's something that was instilled in me incredibly strongly, and it will always stay with me. And I hope they're looking down with pride on the stuff that I'm doing now.
I'm sure they are.
Thank you, because it's all, because it was put in my heart because of them, and now I do it really because of my children and other reasons, but mostly, but it started with them.
Wow, that's a lot. But first of all, like Shmuel saying, to you, it's like so second nature. It seems like, which is incredible.
Thank you.
But that power and drive for that continuity and like that focus is it's a unique thing. In our world, we're always focused on like, learning and Torah and everything, and that's beautiful too, for sure.
Absolutely.
But the focus on the continuity and the pushing to the next generation and, standing strong and proud, it's not as focused on.
Right,
so it's really
the traditional
nice.
Judaism aspect of just the bloodline is not as focused on, is what I was trying to get to. Right. And I think it's your involvement and how it's been instilled in you it's amazing.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this. How did you land here in the Hamptons? Obviously, you're an entrepreneur, right? Like, you don't land up, quite frankly, in this house. Like, let's just call it what it is, unless things went well. So, how... I think for myself, I don't land up in these houses either, unless things are going well. So.
Things are going pretty well, thank God.
Things are going well, Baruch Hashem. What was your... what's the word I'm looking for?
Trajectory.
Yes. Where did you went to Ramaz? You mentioned.
Went to Ramaz. Worked on Capitol Hill for a little bit for a member of Congress. Political science major in college. Worked on Capitol Hill. Went to Duke University. Then I love politics, but it wasn't necessarily the long-term path for me. terms of like behind the scenes political operative. So from there, I went to graduate business school at Northwestern, Kellogg, where I started a business that was called Bunk1.com. Eventually, it was called Bunk1.com, and I did all the technology for summer camps. If you did that research and you saw the stuff that I did, and a business that I ran for 18 years, and I'm enormously proud of.
When did this start? What age were you when you started this?
I was a 26-year-old CEO.
What age was like? How long ago? When did you found the company?
You know, a little bit ago.
No, I'm saying like roughly. I'm just trying to get like an understanding of where technology was.
So I ran the company. This was in 1999, and so I ran the company for about 18 years after that.
Wow.
And but you have to remember the landscape of '99. I mean, there was no Facebook, there was no
wasn't born.
Instagram.
There's no landscape for me to remember.
Right.
But yes, that much I
The
know.
landscape
Now you're making me
was
feel
blocks
bad.
in kindergarten.
Yeah, okay. Well, at least you were born. Maybe you weren't born. But there was no Instagram, Facebook. You know, I'm sure your parents can tell you about that, or your grandparents, or whatever. And so I put pictures online before others did. And it was a really novel concept. And I was bringing this technology into the summer camp space, which hadn't changed their plates, their dishes since the 1970s, 1960s. I'm teasing a little bit.
No,
but
I got you. Right.
They're not prone to change in that industry. And I was this guy coming in saying, hey, yeah, I'm Ari. I just graduated from school, and I have this idea to transform the summer camp industry by bringing technology into it. They're like, who are you? You know what I mean? So like, the first summer was I had about 20 camps who kind of believed in me. But what happened is, as soon as Mrs. Stein told Mr. Goldberg that they were able to see pictures of their kids at camp in a pasture-protected, safe area, oh my God, every other camp was like, what, this company Bunk1, how do I do this? Can I get on board on this stuff?
Wow.
And it became a very big thing in the
makes
in the
a
summer
lot of
camp
sense. You know what
space.
it reminds me of, actually? It's like there was a point where you could plug those things in. There were digital pictures in the kitchen. Like you could see all your families, everybody.
Yeah.
There was a point like
My dad actually still has that in his house.
that landed in my parents' house. Like I want you to know,
My
once
dad has that in his house too.
you made it. Like that company was successful. That was in every person's house.
Right.
But, like,
Yeah, that's fun.
The person who didn't know how to turn on a phone. Like my mother literally wouldn't know how to.
I mean, now it's like to not have a picture, a digital photo gallery, online photo gallery of your kids at camp. It's like, well, of course. But for then, it wasn't done. So I had to convince the industry that this was something that they needed. And that was, complicated in the first summer, but by the second summer, it was like, whoa. And I was literally live on CNN talking about my business because it was this novel concept when CNN was different than it is today. Yeah. It was the news channel, telling them that this was happening. And it was, so I was very proud of it. And it was.
What exactly did the company do? Like just pictures? Like what?
So that's how it started. It started with online communication for parents when the child's away at camp. And the only way they could communicate with their child is to pay Bunk1 a fee to see pictures and to send what we called bunk notes, which were emails that were printed out for the kids at camp. And it's the only way a parent could contact their child. And so, of course, everyone did it, and it's like, yeah. And probably not only everyone do it, but their boyfriends of the campers did it, and the aunts and uncles. So everybody had accounts and stuff like that. Yeah. And it became a big thing. But that's how it started. And then we were kind of the technology hub for summer camps. So like the online registration when you paid for camp, the database management,
everything,
the scheduling, it all was like product extensions after the summer piece became so popular.
Integrated into other areas.
Integrated
was it
into
like a
all
CRM
the whole
by the time
service.
this was done?
Essentially.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we're.
But there was no CRM. There was no term like that when I started this business.
I get it. I'm just trying to picture the software, but I understand.
But it was web based,
Yeah.
which made it even easier because they didn't have to download software.
Right.
They literally had passwords. They logged in. They had access to whatever they needed, and whatever services they had, they chose which ones they wanted, and it was great. I'm very, very, very proud of that business.
Was there an inspiration behind it originally? Like, what was the inspiration behind? Like, are you an entrepreneur by nature? Is that your second nature? Because also, one thing I want to say is that you went for a poli-sci, and a lot of times poli-sci is lawyers. They're very straight-laced, very in the Jewish world, yashar we call it. Like they're straight.
I went through my straight. I know
right.
Yeah.
So because
my Hebrew teacher would be very proud that I read it.
So, but you kind of then veered off from kind of that into now entrepreneurship, which is a lot more freedom. And speaking to that, also your being is very like, we're here. Your energy is very free. You're very like welcoming and that nature. So like, where did that entrepreneurship come in from?
Yeah, like I just followed passions, and I was a political science major in college, And so I'm like, I love politics. I still love politics. And so it was the first goal was let's pursue that angle. And I went to Capitol Hill and I worked for a congressman, a guy named Ari Ackerman, by the way, who I'm not related to.
Really?
Side note, you have to sign a nepotism contract clause or whatever saying you're not related to your congressman if they're paying you because you're not allowed to pay your family members in Congress. Side note. So that was...
That's such a shocker that they have that rule. No?
Yeah, you know?
You'd be surprised. Nowadays, I would think they totally allow it.
Yeah, maybe. No, I don't, probably not.
I'm joking.
Even
I'm saying,
less
like,
so now, yeah. But
Able to invest.
you're allowed to work, but maybe not pay.
That's what I'm saying. You can do all sorts of things that are ideally probably should be like, no, you can't invest in the company that you're busy lobbying for or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Similar.
Yeah.
So that was passion, politics. But then, as I said maybe at the beginning, it wasn't my future. It wasn't necessarily everything I wanted to do. And funny you should say lawyer, because I did take the LSAT when I was, because that's what everybody did when you were on Capitol Hill. And I hated even studying for the LSAT. I hated it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I got to figure something else out. And I got a job after Capitol Hill for a company named Sendint, which is like Avis, Rent-A-Car, a bunch of like small businesses that they ran. And from there, I applied to business school, where I was like, okay, this is a better fit for me.
Where did the Bunk1 idea even come in from? Your kid was in camp? Like, what was...
Well, no, I only have kids now in life, but like I have 2 young children. But Bunk1 was really just an entrepreneurial concept.
Just the idea that you thought of.
I thought. I was in graduate business school, and the last semester of school, I wrote a business plan for a private equity venture capital class that you start a business in the class.
Of course.
And it was the last semester of school, and I was like, okay, this is my project. I'm going to start this, I'm going to write this business. I called it Acker Camps at the time at first. And it was a project that I wrote for the class. If you want to know the full story, because it's a good story, I think.
Please.
Go ahead.
You always think your story is a
This
good
is
story.
the time. This is the place to say.
This is literally the platform.
I'm a wealth of knowledge about myself, right? So I can tell you anything you want to know. So I wrote the business plan, and you present to these Chicago. I went to Kellogg, which is in Chicago. I present to these Chicago-based venture capitalists, and this was 1999. There was no, as I said earlier, there's nothing done like this before. And these brilliant venture capitalists told me it was the worst idea they'd ever heard. Okay, and the idea it was a little different, but it wasn't so outrageously different. It was providing technology services to camps and stuff like that. And I remember this quote, I'd be doing a disservice to my school if I'd started this business.
Wow.
You don't forget quotes like that,
Oh, hell
right?
no.
Yeah, those are like life changers.
Those are like the ones like you'll see the basketball players. The fifth grade teacher said that I was going to be in jail.
Yeah, exactly. So I was told that I'd be doing a disservice to my school if I started the company and I started it. So basically, I got really drunk that day, went to the Cubs game, sat in Wrigley in the bleachers, which we love to do, and I like it was last semester of school, and I'm like, I believe in this concept, and I'm gonna go for it. And literally that summer, I got in my car and I drove around the country visiting summer camps and starting.
This was nothing to do with Jewish-based summer camps, obviously, right? This was applicable to whoever.
Yeah, I had all sorts of camps. I had all the Jewish camps.
You started, did you start by the Jewish camps or not?
I actually didn't. I started because I was in Chicago. My drive started really in Wisconsin, in the middle of the country.
That's great.
And so those were camps I met earlier, but I went to camp in the Northeast. Not a Jewish, like a lot of the kids were Jewish, but it wasn't like a traditional Jewish camp like you might know. But, we had Girl Scout camps and YMCA camps and all sorts of camps using my services.
What happened at the end of all this? Who was the private equity company that bought this thing?
Yeah, it was a beautiful, amazing company, Aquiline Capital Partners. And they bought the company, I guess it's like 7-8 years ago now.
Really?
And yeah.
Are you able to say what you sold it for?
No, it was a private deal.
It's a private deal. Got it. Okay, what did it feel like to
get
that wire?
It was before COVID, and we were doing great, and I sold it at the right time. Let's put it that way.
Baruch Hashem. What did it feel like to get that wire?
That's a funny question. So I had the option of getting for the first deposit on what I received, because there were multiple rounds of what I received for a bunch of reasons, and they say, "Do you want a wire or do you want a check for your first thing?" And I opted for the check. Because how cool was that to hold that check?
That first.
Just to see that wire go through. And I actually held a check that I deposited for that. Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's like, you know what
Funny
that's
question.
like?
Nobody's ever asked me that before.
That's like going to the fucking car dealership, excuse my language. And I don't want you delivering like via lease. Like don't drop off the car. I mean, I want to go into the dealership.
Right.
And I want to. It's because
It's like
fun.
paying for a house in cash. Like it's like you just go to the.
Okay. The only thing is they should have given me one of those big novelty checks.
Oh, 100%.
I had a little normal check. You know
I mean,
what I mean?
I assume that was.
I should have just bought myself a
I
big
assume that was
novelty.
a solid 7 or 8 figure check.
It was a. It was.
Did you think
yes.
of?
At least they should have. Yes.
Did you
8
think
7
of?
or 8.
I'm not talking about it. I don't want to ever be sued by friend. Return that money.
Right.
Oh,
Did you think of when you got that check? What was the first thing that ran through your mind? Was it just an accomplishment, or was it also that level of like, kind of like, again, excuse my language, but fuck off to those people that didn't believe in me, also those venture capitalists at that time?
I mean, I'll answer it. First of all, the funny story is that I actually signed the deal, not the check, but I signed the deal to sell the company on my birthday. On my birthday, it was very odd. Like on March 3rd in the afternoon, it was a Friday.
My birthday's March 2nd. That's pretty good.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Like that was the deal. And how did I feel? I was like, I started crying.
Wow.
I cry when I think about it right now. Because I worked so hard for that business, and I ran it for 17, 18 years. And, you know, it was a full circle, like from the beginning when I told you this guy said it was a terrible idea. And by the way, the professor who I took the class in, a guy named Barry Merkin, a nice Jewish guy who just passed away a few years ago, actually. He gave me an A in the class, despite what that guy said.
Wow.
And was like, Ari, you've worked hard on this. I see something in it. I believe in you.
Wow.
Go for it. Yeah, it makes me cry to
amazing.
think about that too. And he sent me Hanukkah cards over the years and stuff like that. He was a wonderful man, really was. And so both that moment and when I signed on March 3rd, it was very emotional. It was like, this was my first baby in a lot of ways. I didn't have children yet. You know, I didn't kind of get, you know, it's funny because now I actually use Bunk1 for one of my kids. And
So it's
like,
still going strong.
oh yeah. They bought the company for a reason.
No, I understand that. But I was wondering, like today's like. Now with smartphones and everything, like I assume the start of the company and what it is now is more
It
tremendous.
is different, and there's a lot of competition in the space right now. When I started, it was just me, and there was a lot of. This is one of the reasons I had to sell the company too. But it was, I mean, they're doing nice things with it, and it's still going strong. And
Are there ever things that you see them doing? You're like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I was about to say
you know what?
that.
I was in the business for so long. I get asked that. I can't.
You don't pay attention.
It's like I said the word camp like a lot in my life already, you know. And I love camp. Don't get me wrong. Believe me, I wish I could still go to camp every day of my life. But I was deep entrenched in the industry, so I look at it from a distance at this point, and massively proud when somebody like I was at a conference last week and somebody was on their iPhone and they were on the Bunk1 app looking at pictures, and I said to the person who didn't even know, like, you know, that I invented that. And they said to me, wait, what, Bunk1? And like, they made the connection, and the person in between us knew the thing. And he's like, yeah, that was Ari's company. It was
That's
just like,
sick.
yeah, it was awesome.
That was almost as good as I felt when I was in the bakery today and some person came over to me and be like, oh, you're mislabeled.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
Yeah.
Listen, if someone came over to me in the Hamptons right now, I'm doing pretty good. That's
Yeah,
how I feel. Bro, I've never been to the Hamptons.
Dude,
You know?
Kol Kavod. That's
I
a
love
big
it.
deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for this episode, CubX. CubX is an IT company that personally does my own IT. I've recommended these guys to multiple of my friends. They have come back with nothing but rave reviews. These guys have fantastic customer service. There are no hold times. You call, you get through, they fix your problem immediately, and they are truly a group of talented IT professionals. They service specifically companies of 5 employees or more. They have a special division for companies with 500 employees or more, and a additional division specifically dedicated to the healthcare field, which is an area that they particularly specialize in. If you'd like to get through to them, you can reach them at 732-444-8771. Press 2 to get through to the sales department. You can also email them at hello@cubx.com. That's hello@cubx.com. You can also check them up online at cubx.com. Again, that's cubx.com. If you're a new company that's starting out and need a great IT team, definitely reach out to these guys. Or if you're an existing company that is currently not happy with your existing IT firm, I would highly recommend this group. Thank you so much, guys. Back to the episode. Okay, wow, that's a hell of a journey. What happens after that? Were you like, what do I do with myself now?
Yeah. You know, I ran it for so long, I didn't think of the after. I remember I went to the ACC basketball tournament that weekend, and I was like thinking, like, okay, there was some follow-up I had to do. It wasn't when I sold it. I was completely out. But
Stay on?
no, that was part of my provision. Like, I had a president at that point already that did stay on. They kept him. And he was way more valuable than I was at that point anyway.
What's your job? Not to be involved.
Yeah.
You own the company.
No, I'm teasing a little bit. But but so he's still with the company. And he's running Bunk1 and a few other divisions that they bought as well.
So what kind of work ethic were you putting into this?
At the beginning,
For all the kids watching this younger.
I mean, you got to work your little tushy off, your little tuchus off in this show, to start a business. This is like, I was traveling everywhere. I was selling it like crazy. If you're a CEO, I think the most important thing you're doing is you're a salesman. And you're like, basically, I had to convince summer camp owners, as I said, that they would give me pictures of their children.
Yeah,
That's the most important thing they have, right? These images of their children put on a website. Which, don't forget, 1999, 2000 website. Not everybody even knew what a website was, okay? I had to convince them that this was a safe thing and a smart thing for them to do,
Yeah.
okay?
Right.
So that was in and itself like almost a miracle. But, I kind of like, that's what hard work is. Like, I sat with a lot of people and I talked to them and I explained to them why this would benefit their camp, because it really was a win-win, because they weren't getting questions anymore. How's little David? How's little Rachel doing? Like the way I use David and Rachel in this setting too, by the way. Who like how they're doing anymore, because now they're able to log in and see pictures of what's going on.
So interesting.
Were there like nights you were getting no sleep? Was there like the Red Bull type of thing?
Yeah,
You're eating the deli
I saw a Red Bull here. Yeah. No, there you go. Like
I'm just 30 years younger than you.
early
right?
on
Like,
too,
well,
because
whatever,
early
20, I don't know.
early on, I owned my own servers. Like, you guys don't even know what that
really?
means. There was no like, cloud network
Right.
that I could like access servers. I owned my own servers and load balancers and all this stuff, and it broke all the time. And if a parent can't see a picture of their own child that they just dropped off at the bus to go to camp, especially if it's the first time, but even if it's not the first time, they wanted to kill me. Like, literally
You're
wanted
also
to kill
paying
me.
for a service.
Yeah, how much is the
And they're
service?
paying for $10, $20, $30, depending on what package they bought and how many emails they sent. Every note cost money.
Each parent, whatever, each
Each
person.
parent, yeah, $30. So it
And
it
you're
wasn't
giving
nothing.
the campus making money, obviously, or
We
whatever.
we
And the
cut them in exactly to pay for the print and the ink and the paper, and we would sell the pictures online, and we had all sorts of great stuff that we did. Box scores, and if you put a little, which is still there, if you put a little border around the email, it cost an extra credit, which was
You
an
were
extra
hitting them.
$1.
This is like Bumble and Tinder.
I remember this is like back in the day.
You want another swipe? Bro, it's another $4.99.
I remember back in the day we used to play. I used to play like Little League baseball, and like to get like those photographs. And it's like, okay, do your parents want to spend $20 just for one photograph? Do they want to get the pamphlet? Do they want to get the pamphlet also with like Manny Ramirez standing next to you?
We were at the early stages of that. Was Bunk1,
Right.
the very early stages, and we didn't invent photo imaging. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we used we invented it for summer camps. We utilized it for summer camps when the parents were away. And you asked about smartphones and stuff like that. I mean, the one beauty of summer camp is that they're away from that. They don't have their smartphones.
Right.
The only way they can see the pictures or access their kids is through my service.
What do you think now, as far as where technology is, and like kids specifically with where technology is? When you obviously have a couple of kids, it's not like it used to be, at least when I was growing up, where you could go play baseball and that's like what you did, right? And you had no phone in camp and you just you balled out. Like that's what we did. Just I played ball all day.
That's
That's
what I did.
no one wants to. I don't feel like it, like even my little siblings. I still have whatever. My younger brother's now at this point a little older. He's like 18, 19. But I was already like even when he was 14, 4 or 5 years ago, he'll like sit in camp and do nothing. Like he's just not interested. He's like, yeah, no, I'm busy watching Batman or like the Dark Knight
At
Rises.
camp,
Yeah, because they're just
he's got to change camps. That's totally unacceptable.
they'll just sit on their phone and just do shit because
Yeah.
they're not babies. He's a teenager.
Oh, well,
he's not-
teenagers do teenager things. Yeah, but like if they're like a camper, like they shouldn't have access to a cell phone at summer camp.
Right.
I mean, when they're home, like there's enough of that. I mean, it's
What do you think about that nowadays? The social media and like all the stuff.
And what do I think? I mean, it's way too much. I mean, TikTok should be banned. You know, the way these guys control young people's minds, and we can talk about this, the misinformation that now gets passed along, especially through TikTok, is just brutal, especially for our people. Where it seems to be the negative images of us and what's taking place in Israel seems to be like the prominent, awful stuff that's taking place on there. So what do I think? I mean, there's somebody's got to step in and do something about this. I mean, if it's not the government, then some multi-billionaires should get together and buy, social media companies where where it's regulated or something.
Right. I feel like the government can't do anything, obviously, because they're private. I mean,
of course they can. They can ban it. They can ban it in this country. Other countries have banned certain social media networks. It can and should be banned.
Meaning, what would be the exact reason? Like, obviously, right? There's like the thing
because
that
it's foreign owned. It's foreign owned. It's Chinese owned.
Right.
So they're collecting our information. I mean, these aren't conspiracy theories. This is actually what's taking place. And so just for that reason alone, I mean, why are we allowing foreign governments to control data of American citizens?
So why hasn't it been banned?
I mean, I was a political science major. And if you can solve that problem, you'd be way richer than any of this stuff. You know what I mean? But why hasn't it been? I mean, there's all sorts of lobbying that's taking place on benefit of TikToks. And there are a lot of Americans who are making a lot of money on TikTok who, do wonderful things.
Isn't someone who's big right now with Trump a heavy investor in TikTok? I was just reading. I'm pretty sure. He's in billions.
I'm sure. Well, probably one of private equity companies who probably are heavily invested in one of the companies.
No, a specific person. He didn't like Trump, and now he just got back on board. I'm blanking on who it is, but he's a very big shareholder. He owns he's worth billions of dollars.
In Meta or in TikTok?
No, TikTok.
TikTok?
Yeah, I don't recall. Whatever. Either way, but he's just endorsed Trump or whatever it is.
Right.
Got it. So the political side, did your passion for politics come back after?
It never went away.
Never went away.
Never went away. I was always passionate about politics. I just didn't think the behind-the-scenes political operative was my future, and that's really what I did on Capitol Hill. I was a legislative assistant for a congressman, which means helping with the bills and helping with the constituents.
Is that actually the definition of what a political operative? I mean,
political operative. I'm using the wrong term, truthfully. Political operative is more like a lobbyist and stuff like that. I was more of a legislative aide, legislative assistant. Thanks for calling me out on that too, by the way.
No. I don't. I'll be honest. First of all, I call people out. That's one thing I'm very well known
I love
for.
it.
But I don't mean that. I just mean that the word political operative, honestly, to me means I think of a Roger Stone. I think of someone
that's more an accurate term for that.
Right.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And
I wasn't that. I was more of like a behind the scenes for an individual congressman. And that to me, there was other ways people went from there. They go from there to political operatives and to lobbying firms and other things. And I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love the whole political game, and I support candidates, and and that's how I'm involved in politics now, by being friends with so many congressmen and supporting them financially and advice or whatever for my interest, to make sure that Israel's supported and Jewish people feel safe in the United States, and my kids can feel safe walking on the streets, and our education system is not in shambles. But yeah.
What do you think about the direction of certain people in the media at this point? Say the Candace Owens and even Tucker, and that entire direction of the heavy isolationist, almost what they would say, I think, to our face. I think they would say we have nothing against Israel and there's nothing anti-Semitic here at all about this. This is just, we have problems here in America, which the relationship is too codependent with Israel, which, in my personal opinion, I don't think that's really what it is. I think there's something a little more going on there. But what are your thoughts on, these are obviously heavy.
I don't think they're students of history. We can't be isolationist. We won't work out in the world. If I've heard people say if Israel wasn't around, they'd have to invent an Israel in the Middle East. And that's more where I stand. I'm a proud, strong Jew and a strong supporter of Israel, passionate Zionist. So for me, being an isolationist doesn't compute in every possible way. Both from a heart perspective and from a family perspective, personal perspective, but also as a proud American. And a strategic interest of ours is to have a strong presence in the Middle East. We can't just be a country that doesn't that is isolated and not involved in the world. We are the leader of the world right now. We have to show up and act like it. And being an isolationist doesn't
I hear
mix
that.
with me.
I mean, no, it makes total sense. It's funny.
I love that this is like almost like a political Sunday morning show now.
Yeah.
You guys go in all
we
different
go in
directions.
all different directions.
We're many different hats.
Awesome.
I'm curious about your, multiple. Honestly, I'm curious about multiple of your viewpoints because you've had an interesting trajectory. Like you were in politics, you went and obviously built this amazing company. Now you've walked out and you kind of, what seems like, tell me if I'm correct about all this, but you kind of went right back into that like passion for politics. And I was gonna say, you keep on saying your words are "I love politics," which is honestly a little shocking to me because who the hell loves politics? I feel like
I love the game. I love the people. I love the strategy. I love watching Sunday morning shows. I love talking to politicians.
But do you feel like
just this weekend, like Friday night, I had Shabbat dinner with Dan Goldman, a congressman from New York, and Sunday morning, I was with Andrew Cuomo here in the Hamptons, and he was just texting me a few minutes ago, actually.
I spoke to Chris the other
You
day.
spoke to Chris? There you go.
Tell that dude I'm on his tail. Chris, love you.
Go on the show. Go on the show.
Yeah, we'll get Andrew.
Go on the show.
You know
Wherever it is.
something? We're going to get
Andrew.
Andrew before we get Chris then.
I love
That's
it.
We're going to have to call up Andrew and just say this is it. But you keep on saying I love politics. So to me, my question
By the way,
is...
it's not just Democrats and Republicans. I mentioned 2 Democrats. But to me, like, I'm not necessarily a party person. I'm a people person. And if somebody's representing my interest and my views, it doesn't matter to me if they're a Democrat or a Republican.
100%. Of course. I mean, the label of it, no pun intended, is just like, who gives a shit?
Right.
Like, are we on the same page or not? I don't know. You could call it whatever you want. I mean, but I guess my question is specifically in politics, is the lack of authenticity. And let's just be real, there is a ton of corruption in politics. That's how it goes. Does that part eat you up? And it's just like, no, I don't want to be involved in this.
Of course. But like, I think there's, in every industry you have your stuff. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to figure out like who the good people are and who the not so good people are in the industry. And I work that way in summer camps even, it works that way, especially in politics and definitely in other businesses that I'm involved in. And I try to align myself with people that share my values of honesty and integrity and just doing the right thing for humanity.
Have you gotten good at smelling BS from people? Like, there are people that you can just...
Yes, so you guys better be careful,
like smelling that BS.
I'm
like,
good at it also.
Being able to like... I'm a big believer that you're able to like tell if someone's being genuine with integrity and things of that nature. Do you just believe in that? Like you can see someone, you can talk to them, you just be like within 5 minutes, you're like, okay, this guy's either BSing me for this, or this guy's like being real.
See, if I answer that question, then anybody that's going to talk to me in the future is going to be like, oh, he gets me. So maybe I shouldn't even answer that question. But let me just say this. My mother was a psychologist and my sister is a psychiatrist. So there's something about the human mind that is inherently in me that like, and personalities and like...
The part is you don't have those bills.
I don't
have... You go to your mom, you go to your sister.
It means I was talked to a lot.
Yes.
I was taught, and my feelings had to be expressed fairly often. And when you're growing up as a young guy, you don't really like to express your feelings.
Listen,
So
it's better than dealing with it now.
So, but just watching her, and again, I'll go back to her as being just an incredible human, and not only a Jew, but like an incredible mom and an incredible reader of people. Like there is nobody I have ever met who can look at somebody in the first minute and tell you their entire life story more than my mother did. And so I'll defer that answer to her because she could do it in a quarter of a second. And I'm not just saying this for the first time now. I've said this before, that she was like, she knew your whole story. And then she would literally tell you the person's story. And then it always was right.
Yeah.
It was really like, so am I good at it? I'll let the readers decide on that.
I hear that. Yeah, no, politics is a very, it's funny what you were saying as far as, you said a line before, we were discussing obviously why Israel is important, whether or not to be an isolationist. I mean, there's obviously, like from my perspective, and you kind of touched on it, I kind of feel that Israel, in general in this world where we have so many adversaries and so many people that are even like against Western values, I would simply think it makes sense to the people that do agree with our values and do align with goodness and, truth and good values really, and are on the same page as us. It behooves us, even if maybe we could do without them. Even maybe if we could do without them. You want to keep your friends close. Like that's just like family. It's
Do
like,
without who? Who are you saying?
even if you would be able to make an argument that you, as an isolationist,
right,
that you
that
could do
you
without
could be
Israel.
isolationist.
Why would you? Meaning to me, in a world of so many adversaries, whether it be Russia, China, North Korea, whatever,
Friends are important. Friends are
yeah,
important.
you need like why would you like? That's a value that is very, very powerful, and really, I think Israel's the only ally of America that really is eye to eye. It's like,
I think it's the strongest. I think maybe there are others, but it's the strongest. But just to piggyback on what you're saying, like just in Israel, Gaza right now, you're fighting a war of good versus evil. I mean, I strongly believe that. Like, Israel is one of the most moral armies in the world, if not the most. Fighting a very moral battle against a war they didn't start and didn't want, and now they were attacked, and they're going in and defending their homeland and their people. And to me, like, that's as simple as you can state this. I mean, there's complexities, of course, but that's the facts of what happened.
no one with a brain, in my opinion, would disagree with such a thing. However, the media has convinced the world,
Of course.
the exact
And
opposite.
TikTok and all the misinformation on the social media stuff.
I mean, in simple terms, how does that happen? Just the level of I guess that answers. By the way, you know what this is? This kind of tells you. I actually right now I'm having a moment of empathy and sympathy for Trump, because he sat there saying no. He sat there saying fake news and how they're corrupt and they're full of shit, and they've actually figured out a way to manipulate the entire world, the media, to make the exact, in permits for it's the opposite, to actually make the exact opposite the
Right.
status quo. The media has made it that Israel has become somehow, even after Hamas walked in, they were raped, slaughtered. What would be, in any other case, in any other situation, the most obvious, straightforward conclusion. Like, these are terrorists. If it happened to America or any other country, they'd walk in there, they nuked
It did happen to America. There are 8 American hostages still.
Right. I'm saying
But
if this happened in American territory,
right.
I'm saying this wouldn't be a conversation. Everyone would see it very clearly. Al Qaeda, America went in,
Right.
killed out who knows how many people in Iraq, Afghanistan, and people were quiet because they understood the threat and we were dealing with 9/11. Right. The sheer callousness and brutality that it takes to, in our case, in 9/11, for example, to kill 2,900 people for straight terrorism, and Israel to kill, and also in the form in how it was done, 1,200 people. It would be straightforward. It wouldn't be complicated. But the media has figured out how to actually spin it, like in such a powerful, real way. They've done it to the point that I really think at least half the world now believes that Israel has some iota of fault in this.
Yeah.
Well, nothing could be further from the truth.
So, I mean, media is definitely a part of it. But to me, it's not just the media. It's like there's unfortunately a latent anti-Semitism within our world that just waited. Sometimes it waits to come out, and it goes through like patterns in the history of our humanity.
Yeah.
It's like a dormant volcano.
It's like a dormant volcano, exactly.
said.
And unfortunately, this is like a moment in time where all those anti-Semite haters, oh, here we go. Here's our chance, and we're going to start this, because the media can't convince somebody that doesn't want to be convinced. Like, it's almost like they want the opportunity to hate the Jews.
I would agree.
And hate Israel. And this is like, oh, okay, this is the opportunity. Listen, a lot of times the media doesn't help. There is some media that's with us, though. A lot of media that's with us, too.
Such as what?
Fox. And even some reporters on other networks as well.
A little bit.
Little bit, but we'll take.
They have moral
Take what we
quandaries.
can at
Yeah,
this
unfortunately, the Jews, it's like, but yeah, the quantities aren't necessarily with us, and but it's also like a disease that unfortunately is never going to go away.
Yeah. So, is your work involved just on like American soil, or are you involved in Israel? It's as well, like as far as organizations there. And is your activism also based over there?
Yeah, well, my activism is centered around giving a lot of speeches around the country. I wrote op-eds, radio shows, TV. I've done a few TV interviews and stuff like that. But a lot of it's also on Instagram, where I'm posting reels.
Yeah.
You're very, very active.
Yeah, thank you.
It takes work. It takes time.
Oh my God, I didn't realize. I became, I wasn't really on Instagram before October 7th. I was, but I was mostly posting like fun stuff and like a little bit of activism stuff. But now it's turned into almost full activism because, as you say, like the truth needs to be out there, and it's not always out there. And I get so upset and frustrated when I see these things that like literally I've taken to my phone to start yelling at my phone about this. And it's almost like I'm posting that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, wait a minute, that's not true.
Yeah.
It's not true. CNN said that the hostages were released. No, they were freaking rescued. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The Israelis went in there, lost a brave soldier, went in there in an incredibly brave and awesome mission to rescue 4 hostages. And CNN had a headline that the hostages were released.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
and so I.
And then their next headline was probably that Israel kills 270 people.
Exactly.
That would have been the next one.
Exactly. But the fact that that could even be written on CNN, like how is that a possibility? Okay, like that is not objective. That is not the truth. That's not the truth. Hamas is not releasing anybody. You know, they did when there was a deal and there was an exchange and stuff like that. But they're not like, oh, hey guys, okay, we woke up this morning and we figured.
We found out that what we did was not morally correct.
Yeah,
Here you can have them back.
Here's 4 people we just decided to randomly give you. So we're going to release them, and that was what the headline said. And that to me was like why I'm doing what I'm doing, because like where was the truth there? You know, and to CNN's credit, they did correct the headline.
Oh wow, they're so sweet.
But so sweet, exactly. But once it's out there, you're screwed.
You know what I mean? We talk about that.
This.
We talk about that all the time. It's like when you label someone. We talk about this many times with like pedophilia or different things. Even if a person, once you label someone something that is like heinous,
the word alleged could be in there.
Alleged
no one cares.
Literally, alleged is basically, or accused is basically saying you're convicted. Because there's no taking it back that now you have this thing that someone had a doubt in your mind that you were that person.
Right.
Or you're that thing.
There's no
they did it in the beginning of the war.
Excuse.
With the hospital rocket
right,
that
of
came from
course,
Islamic
that Israel
Jihad.
bombed.
There you go.
Unreal.
Of course.
No one remembers a freaking retraction 2 days later. Who the
Did
fuck
you
is going to
on
remember
Al
that?
Jazeera Live, they had the rocket falling from Gaza. I mean, they had a live broadcast of them doing it.
Yeah.
Like just accidentally, they were shooting live.
Well, I remember that's how they found out.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Like, it's unbelievable. On Al Jazeera, of all places. I mean, there's so many examples of that. You know, the BBC reporter who had the Israeli, one of the lead Israeli spokesperson, and she said to him, don't you think you should have warned the Palestinian civilians before you went in there and rescued the hostages?
Yes.
They were being held by Palestinian civilians.
Yeah.
You're going to warn the Palestinian civilians that you're coming in to get this hostages that they're holding?
Yeah.
Like, the mindset for somebody to ask that question.
Yeah, because they don't want the truth. That's why. There's no truth. They're not looking for truth.
The idea of moral equivalence in any of this
moral equivalence is a whole nother thing.
It's a whole, but like, it all goes into the same thing though, which is the fact that why I'm saying moral equivalence is because Israel got attacked. We got attacked. The idea of moral of the equivalence of are you worried about X, Y, and Z happening on the other side in order to get what's rightfully yours back is in itself a flawed theory. And it goes across all spectrums when it comes to the Israel-Hamas situation and all that stuff, is that everyone is always, when you're going after the hostages, are you not going to like tell them that you're coming in? Are you not going to do this? Like in what war, in what area, like has anyone ever said, when 9/11 happened to the U.S., did they just like tell Iraq, by the way, we're going to be coming to see if you guys have WMD over there. I just wanted to let you know.
Exactly. And by the way, the United States, and I'm a proud American, but when, after 9/11, we killed hundreds of thousands of people in Iraq and Afghanistan, trying to find bin Laden and doing all the things that we, is morally, you can argue, but you're protecting your, what happened to you. And maybe they didn't do it the right way, but that's a whole nother discussion. But, Israel is doing the same thing. And by the way, the civilian count compared to what, other countries have done is much lower. The civilian death count.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, it's the lowest urban combat civilian death toll ever.
And by
it's
the
the
way,
hardest place to fight also, urban-wise.
And I was about to say, and they're hiding behind civilians. So.
Yeah. Who are the biggest advocates that you've seen, that, like, you've been proud to, like, deal with since you've, like, really taken this upon yourself to, like, be in front and center?
There's so many. I mean, there are a lot of people that I'm very proud to work with. I like to say that I have my like new October 7th friends.
So I'm saying, who are those people that you feel are like?
I mean, I can name somebody.
Because it's scary. It takes a lot to, especially people with careers and things, to come out when the whole world's against them. And
it takes a lot of courage to be able to put yourself out
like
there.
something. I may lose my gigs. I may lose this. I may lose that.
Thank you. Yeah.
So who are the people that you?
I don't want to leave out anybody, but just, like Lizzie Savetsky's amazing, and Montana Tucker's amazing, and at Matis Yahoo has been such a
Matis, of
proud,
course. No, Matis.
Jew. I'm gonna leave people out, and I don't want to.
Right.
But there's so many like that I feel just like a strong affinity to, and like, it's almost like these are my friends now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I still have my people I love and stuff but these are the people like, wow, like you're, as you described, it's like, it's not easy to like be out there. It's not. And it's
it takes a lot.
It took me, but now I'm like 100% in, and the people that are 100% in are the ones that like, you almost have this like immediate bond. I feel like I'm going to Tanya Zuckerbrot's house tomorrow night.
Who's?
Tanya Zuckerbrot. She's been another amazing advocate for Israel. Like,
I've heard, yeah.
But there's so many like that have just done amazing things, and lost followers and business, and for them brand deals and agents that they've lost, and so many things that they've risked by doing what they're doing, and I have all the respect in the world for them, and I kind of like feed off of them also with the stuff that I'm doing.
Has this become a completely full-time, everyday, 24/7 type of gig for you? Do you do anything else? Is this like any organization that you're with? What you're with UJA, right? The UNJA. Like,
I sit on so many Jewish
so many
boards. But this is
AIPAC,
before
all,
October
like-
7th. Yeah, I sit on so many Jewish boards. Like, I ran a company for many years, and so I feel
Right.
very lucky, like, since I sold my business, that I'm able to do lots of other things. I'm involved in a baseball team, too.
Yeah, we'll get into
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I gotta hear about that. I'm fascinated.
There's
Get
that, and I sit on other boards, and I have a lot of business investments and stuff like that. But it's almost been this, like, upward slope of my involvement and how much of my day is taken by Jewish advocacy. And now it's like, I wake up every morning and I'm like, oh my God, I need to respond to that. I need to put a video out on that to say what the truth is.
By the way, it's all consuming. Do you have do you ever find yourself getting lost in it? Like,
absolutely. In fact, I'll have a list now. I just started doing this recently. A list now. I want to do that. I want to do that. Do that. And then something else comes up, and that goes to the top of the list. Then you don't get to the other things. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I mean, it's totally overwhelming, and it's totally a fight that like is in my heart and soul, and I do it purely for the reason that like I want to help the Jewish community. Like, I have no other reason for doing what I'm doing. I'm a proud Jew. I want the truth to be out there. I want people to hear the truth, and it's just like it's a very honest passion that this is what I do right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
what are you able to share specifically which companies you're involved with right now as far as investments? Like, are you heavily involved in any, like, I mean, day to day? I'm not asking like your personal finances, like, which, like,
do you want a spreadsheet of my investments? Like,
I'm just asking this. If you have like one or two, like, we could go to the Marlins if you want. Like, we start talking about that, but that's like a famous one. I'm saying, like, do you have any like specific passions that like and
listen,
projects?
I'm an entrepreneur at heart.
Right.
So like, I still get a lot of entrepreneurs who come to me with business ideas and stuff like that, and I'm probably invested in maybe 7 to 10
Really?
businesses like that. Yeah, and I try to advise on that stuff and do stuff like that, and that's like what I was doing. That's a full-time thing too.
For sure.
And since I've sold my business, because I was a day-to-day CEO for 17, 18 years. And so since then, it's more investments and stuff like that. And now investments are like return my call or hear this pitch, and I'm like, sorry, I'm shooting a video today. You know what I mean? Or I'm doing a podcast today, or whatever it is, because it's like that's my priority right now. Aside from family, it's first. You saw me bringing my son home from camp when I was walking in here.
It's adorable.
Thank you. And my daughter will be home soon too. And but like that's number one. And then I'm able to, the fact that I'm able in life right now, the position that I'm in right now, to be able to do this, I feel blessed and lucky. So it's almost like, my mom and my grandfather are saying, this is what you need to do right now. And I hope I'm making them proud every second.
For sure.
Because like this is what I was sort of born to do in some way. I feel
like Shmuel, you're gonna be him in like
Very possible.
I mean, I don't know if I'll have his house.
Stay in touch, man. I want to see that progression. Out of
No,
you.
like
You're
the
gonna
way
be me.
he talks, like I could see, like unbridled, just.
But
yeah.
But one thing is it's tough to be a public figure. It's tough to take on that amount of the scrutiny and criticism in your family and different things. Like, what's that balance for you with the privacy of, like, you have 2 young children, your wife? What's the toll that it takes on your family that you're consistently also out in the open and you're going out speeches, Like, how do you balance the family time along with also and the privacy public aspect?
Yeah, I try to keep my private. Not every influencer or social media person does that, or advocate does that, but I try to keep it private. I feel like this is my role as almost like a career and a passion, and it's mine. And I hope it's theirs, but they're very young and they shouldn't be involved in this yet. So that's for sure. That's my personal opinion, and because it does come with a lot of hate, with the stuff that I'm doing. And listen, is it fun to get hate? No.
Right.
It's very draining. It's very rough. But I'll tell you the other side. I get a lot of love too, and it like literally, like I'm saying this to you, like I'm sure you get it too, like from your podcast. Like when people say to you, "Thank you for what you're doing." Like
no one says that to me.
You just had somebody in the bakery who said that to you.
They said they knew me. And they did not say
They didn't say thank you for what you're doing. Very different things.
They knew you.
They may have fucking hated me, actually.
So somebody says that they, to me, that they acknowledge what I'm doing and they appreciate it. Especially, I get a lot of people from Israel who email me or DM me. Really is the main source. They email, but DM me. But the thing that I love most when somebody says I inspire them. Because not only does that make me feel good, thank you, but what that also means is that they're going to go do something.
Right, passing the torch.
Inspire means like they are inspired to then be an advocate in whatever way. If they're talking to one person, awesome. Because I've inspired that for them to go do that. And I get goosebumps when I think of it. Because that's like, whoa, like that's a very powerful thing. And that's what we need right now, especially in the non-Jewish community. But we need people as advocates for us. And if that's Jews or non-Jews, okay, like that's what we all need to try and like push people to do.
Yeah.
You're obviously close with like a lot of, okay, go here for a second. I was going to ask about the Marlins, but I am curious.
Yeah, that's fine.
What's your when did you get involved in that? How long ago was that?
So I sold my business, and the story is that literally a month after I sold my business, I got some business press on the sale. And a friend I went to graduate school with at Northwestern said, Ari, there's a guy who's putting a group together to buy a baseball team. Look at this deal. It's like, as I said, I get a lot of, look at this deal. I think you'll like this deal. And, he showed it to me, and I'm like, oh, interesting and stuff like that. I just want you to know the guy who's putting the group together, his name, you're going to like him. And he's joking almost, like Derek Jeter. I'm like, oh, like, tell me more. You know what I mean? And you don't.
I feel like it's not so fair. Derek Jeter is probably pretty good at raising equity. I just like piece of me says like
exactly.
It makes it takes them not too long to raise half a bill.
Checks are checks.
People
aren't always signing checks so easily. Yeah. And I can't say
I would have signed the check.
It's like it's still a major financial investment for whoever is doing it. So it's got to make sense from a business perspective. We're not silly investors. We're all I feel like everybody in our partners are really sophisticated private equity guys mostly and business leaders. And so the deal had to make sense also. And you look at the deal and it made sense to me. To me, it was like a bet on the city of Miami, which I'm very bullish on, and the sport of baseball, which I'm very bullish on. Like that's to me the bet that I took.
It's an interesting bet. I bet on the sport of baseball.
You also seem like, I was going to get into this earlier a little bit. You said you always go to games at Wrigley and everything. You were a massive baseball fan since you were a kid?
Huge Yankee fan, and that's like, that was passed on from my father, you know what I mean? Like
you had a tough
baseball.
Yankees go though in the 70s.
Well, I was more in 80s.
80s,
yeah.
I'm saying even 80s.
I was too young in the 70s.
And 80s.
The 70s, they won a few World Series, but I don't remember those.
I said, but 80s for sure. I know from
the 80s are the worst.
80s and the beginning of the 90s.
80s were terrible, but my hero.
I wasn't wrong about what I said.
Yeah, but my hero growing up was Don Mattingly, and he was the manager of the Marlins when we bought the team.
Wow.
So it was like this guy who's putting the group together is Derek Jeter. And then the manager was Don Mattingly. I mean, they couldn't have written that script better for my investment.
Wow.
Also, you got to mix two things: your entrepreneurship and your passion. Like you clearly have a passion for baseball. Like it brings something.
How
out
are the Marlins?
I love baseball. I love sports. I mean, summer camp. It's like it sort of fit in so perfectly with like.
Yeah, you like vacationing.
The guy was almost like. Here's the deal, knowing that I would be a part of the deal.
You're like, honestly, you're what it sounds like to me, your energy, you're like an adult kid when it comes to your energy, like your passions and like what you would want to do with your day is like, those guys, like you see like their inside.
Weather.
You see like those inside, they have arcade games everywhere. It's like they just have like, just tons of like just things like from their childhood, but they're playing with them as if like they're 8, but they're really like 45. That's to me what you're like, the energy.
Yeah. I'll take it on the energy. I'm not a video game guy, but I'll take it
Not
on
the video games, but like in terms of like
that's
having
funny.
those types
no,
of
but listen,
hobbies.
I'm with you on the summer camp stuff. Like to me, like that's like, oh my God.
So what saved
That's the
it?
dream.
What's like, when did he buy the team?
We bought it. It was end of 2017.
How many partners are part of this group?
I'm not sure I can actually say that, but
Okay.
we've added a few partners over the years.
Like, what does everyone have equal say? Like, not equal. I mean, what's the level of input that someone has if they're in this group? Like, a trade happens. I'm just curious. Like, what?
That's a good question. I think our group is very fair in terms of I'm on the board of advisors, and very fair in terms of listening to opinions. In every baseball ownership group, there's a lead partner, and we have a lead partner, obviously. And I think he's very fair, and decisions are made in a lot of ways by hearing lots of opinions.
So,
And also, there's active interest in us giving feedback, not just on the business side, because we all come with business experience. So I was heavily involved in social media and marketing and that type of stuff. So and when you do that for a baseball team, it's a major business.
how do you protect leaks?
There's a real, first of all, our own interests are involved. You know what I mean? So anybody that has the information that we have, makes no sense for us to leak it.
Right.
I mean, so it's only going to hurt us.
Right.
And it's just a very solid group of investors and partners that it just has never happened, as far as I know.
Are you close with Jeter?
Derek is such a great guy.
You say that like you are close with him.
Well, I mean,
that was like
That was the most PC answer I've ever heard.
just so you know, I mean, he actually left our group about a year ago.
oh, you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
I didn't realize that he bounced.
yeah, but
Now that you're saying that, no, he did. I mean, clearly he
It's
bounced.
just the way that you talk
it
about
was
it.
like, I can't get into the detail, but there was, yeah.
Interesting. Got it. But you were friends with him?
Oh yeah. I mean, we were all partners together, and he was the president of the organization, and he set the tone at the beginning of where the Miami Marlins direction would be.
Got it. Are they good now? I don't know anything about baseball.
We made the playoffs last year.
They did make playoffs, yeah.
We made the playoffs last year, and I got the opportunity to fly to Pittsburgh because that's where we clinched it. And we were out late with the players, and so
That must have been really nice.
Yeah, it was great. And then we went to Philadelphia for the playoff games, a few games, and actually, unfortunately, we lost those games. But we also during COVID we made the playoffs, which was a lot of fun. And actually, we won our first round against the Chicago Cubs in Wrigley.
No, he knows all this things.
And then the second round, we actually played Atlanta.
You must have conflicting feelings being in Wrigley.
No conflicting. I'm a major Marlins guy now.
Well, now,
And,
that much I get.
Now Steve Bartman is like
so
the greatest thing ever.
I actually didn't go to Wrigley, but I did fly to, it was in Houston. We played Atlanta in Houston during COVID, and there was no fans. They had some owners and some players' wives sitting in suites on the top level.
Watching.
And so there I was watching this empty stadium. The Marlins play Atlanta in Houston with this. There was sound that was coming into the stadium that was from the loudspeakers, but there was no sound. There was no audience noise and stuff like that.
Thing.
It was the most wild thing. If you look back on my Instagram, you'll see like
That's crazy.
videos, pictures of it. It was the most surreal. Unfortunately, we got swept in that series, but it was a really wild experience.
Let me ask you this: if the business decision is going really well, but the Marlins are not good, how do you grapple with that? Is that like very conflicting feelings?
If the business decision isn't going well, what
Is
do you mean?
going
No,
well.
the
Is-
business
from a
end
business
is going
end,
well, but
and
the Marlins aren't playing. Like the Marlins aren't great this year, let's say.
Every partner wants to win.
Right.
You want to win.
Oh,
Done.
yeah. You want to win. If you own a baseball team, you want to win.
Right. No, I hear that.
It's really that.
You also
simple.
want to make money, so it's both. I would think.
Yeah.
If you win, you're going to make money also.
yeah, I think that comes with it. Yeah.
Got it. Wow.
So I feel like anyone that gets into ownership, it's like you have to have a passion behind it because you can get into millions of different ventures when you're an investor, and there are different places to put your money. And it's like owning a baseball team, basketball team, football team, any of these things, it's a long-term investment, and there's a lot of work that goes into it in terms of like, it's not you're just not dumping your money on like one little thing. It's like the organizational structure of baseball and basketball and football and sports in general. What you're dealing with is these things are with stadiums, fans, everything. It's not you're not running a company of a startup with 10 people and seeing how an app goes. It's like
he's a sports. This guy's a real sports guru.
The all-encompassing
like,
factor of being an ownership guy. It's like
it's a different space.
It's a different space of where your head has to be when you're investing in that type of thing, I would think.
Yeah, but it's also a business. It's like you say, it's sports, but it's a business.
What's your level of involvement day to day? Is it like something that has to take up a lot of your time, or are you more of an LP, like a limited partner?
More of an LP. More of an LP. But I try to help when I can.
No, I love that.
And I love being a part of it and going to games.
Of course.
And, you know, doing all the fun part of that investment.
I gotta ask you, why are you living in New York City? No, you just said you're betting on Miami. You're a Marlins person. You have
bullish
summer
on Miami,
camps.
yes.
You have a place in the Hamptons. I'm sitting here. This house must be 10,000, 15,000 square feet. By 15. And at least 15, not 10. You're a summer guy. New York City is, let's be real.
I'm also a passionate New Yorker. I grew up in the city. I love the city.
I'm also, but do you have a place in Miami? You're a DeSantis guy. Come on, you got to be in
I'm a
Miami.
DeSantis guy. I never said that.
You're not.
I
I'm
never
saying
talk about,
you would love pro-Israel.
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying?
I do like his pro-Israel views, no doubt about it.
What about
Sure.
like the taxes though on that front? Like,
I mean, the taxes are awful, but I love the
the
energy
income
of the
tax.
city. Like, I love the restaurants. I love the theater. I love, that my kids are going to, great schools in the city and stuff like
Where
that.
do they go? Oh, you don't want to say.
Yeah,
There they go.
but I grew up in Manhattan, and it's just in my blood.
It's true. If you grew up in Manhattan,
Right, you did. You
Broadway,
grew up
and
on-
MSG, and like that's energy. that you
Anybody that
can't-
thinks Central Park is beautiful is was kind of like my backyard in some way.
Wow.
Because I grew up
You know,
on
we were just
Lexington
there.
Avenue. Like,
you're just there.
This past Shabbos,
Yeah.
literally, this past Shabbat, we were in the Upper West Side.
Yeah.
I never go to. It was my second time ever being there.
Is that right?
Yeah. No, meaning for Shabbat.
Oh, for Shabbat, got it.
Been in the Upper West Side 8,000 billion
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
But Shabbat is a different experience. Like,
Right.
now you're walking to shul through the city, and just the whole thing is just different than being in.
It's great. I mean, but I couldn't only live there also, as you say. Like, I love my time in Miami,
Yeah.
which I do a lot of time. I spend summers out in the Hamptons.
Where do you hang out in Miami?
We're mostly in Brickell.
Oh, so we were.
That's where we were.
Now we're talking business.
It's like mini Manhattan to me.
Yes. Oh
we
my
were saying
God.
the same thing.
Dude.
So it's like,
Yes.
But Ari, you want a good investment right now? This is my personal opinion. I've been saying this. I probably shouldn't give this away, but I'll say it all cares. I keep on saying that there's going to be, someone's got to open up a reserve cut. You're familiar with the
Yeah,
reserve
of
cut,
course.
I assume? Style restaurant in Brickell.
In Brickell.
High end. Like there's no high end real. Like when you walk into Brickell, there's that feeling of grandiosity.
Yeah,
Kind of like walking into the city.
Yeah.
Right.
It's on the water. The buildings are there's a
Gorgeous,
skyrise
yeah.
concept.
It's very condensed.
There's no Glock kosher restaurant that you want to go on a date with your wife to the city of Miami, not Miami Beach, where Surfside, where you're gonna go for like the classic kosher food.
Right.
And Jews, Orthodox Jews, they pay. Like if
Right.
they want, like them and their wife want to get dressed up and like feel good, like you could bring them. They'll spend $2,000 on a steak.
Listen,
in
there's no
Brickell.
shortage of Jewish Orthodox entrepreneurs, right? So
That too, but they
that's
they-
got to be done. Like,
they
I don't actually eat kosher restaurants, so for me, unless I'm with a kosher friend of mine,
I'll
obviously,
say,
so-
listen, you
But
met
that
a
sounds
guy.
like a good idea to me.
I was gonna say you met a guy
Brickell,
Laibel
it's-
Wiener. It's a perfect investment.
Sounds like the perfect owner. I don't know.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
By the way,
you got it.
You called me. You called me, by the way. And when I called you, you said I was talking to you, and we were talking about business for 1 second, whatever, a few days ago. And you're like, I could see why we're talking. You said something like that. You're like, I said, what do you mean? You're like, oh, we'll talk about it on the
I don't even remember what I
on
said.
the podcast.
But you do have a great voice.
Do I?
Your voice is like really like it's like I'm an announcer. It's almost like we need you for the PA system at Lone Depot, which is where the Marlins play.
I would love, by the
I
way,
want
if
to
you
give
give me one
two-
game.
I'm gonna
Doesn't
say
he have a good
one.
voice?
I'm
It's
gonna give
like-
you two things. He has a very distinct voice, very,
very
powerful.
distinct. Yeah, even when you
He
walked in
also-
today, ooh, wow, that's like
He
a
also
thing.
went to a doctor, and they told him that they have the worst vocal cords they have ever seen.
But that's like a thing.
It's a
That's
thing.
what
Like,
makes
that's why he
it.
has that
That's what
rasp.
makes
He has
it.
that rasp.
And me, I'm like, I have a little cold today, so I'm like coughing and sneezing a little bit.
By
But,
the
like,
way, I would not know you have a cold. I'm not even kidding.
it's not like a Biden cold, if you know what I'm
That's
saying.
definitely not a Biden
This is like
cold.
a real cold. Maybe,
Did you beat Medicare or you didn't beat Medicare?
Yeah, exactly.
No, but for real, my voice, and it's become like a topic at this point. I don't know what, like, I know why, I guess, but there's nothing I can.
Very distinct.
There's nothing I could do about it.
What do you mean? I like it. It's like, yeah.
Listen, I don't think the problem with my voice.
Do what the doctor says about your vocal cords. I don't know about that stuff.
I think to me, it's, Adam Sosnick who's like, Patrick Bet-David, Miami. He's like a big YouTube.
Okay.
He's very well known, whatever. So we had it on his, one of his co-hosts. He has like a panel with 3 different people on his pod, and Adam's one of them.
Cool.
And Adam's a Jew, a proud Jew as well.
I love it.
And we had him on the podcast. Next time when you're in Miami, we should do dinner, actually. It would be great. You'll actually enjoy. You know Patrick Bet-David is. If I showed you a picture, you'd know. Either way, he messaged me like a couple weeks ago. He's like, dude, your voice. I said, what? He's like, you got to get your voice fixed. Now, he also has issues with his voice. If you hear him speak, you could tell. But I said, what are you talking about? He's like, this is your life right now. Like, you're not messing with your voice. I'm like, bro, I don't have time to go do like voice therapy. Like, I don't have patience.
Voice therapy, wow.
Yeah, because that's really what I
Ari's
need.
saying it's a great voice.
I don't think you should change it.
Oh, I don't want to change it. I said, I don't think you understand. No, because I get hoarse very quickly. Very, very. Like, if I'm in a room and it's loud, by the end of the night, I won't be able to talk.
Oh, you have to listen.
Yeah.
You remember the Seinfeld where George has like those hands? Do you watch Seinfeld?
I know every episode.
You know the hands? He was going to be a hand model.
Yes,
And so
yes.
he put gloves on his hands, like
Yes.
like that's your voice. You have to take
Right.
care of your voice. Like Barbara Streisand didn't want to get a nose job because she was worried it would ruin her voice. It was like
didn't
that's like
even know
that's a
that's
real
a
thing.
thing.
Unless
Your
like that's like a
nose?
rumor that like
Maybe I
is
need
a
a
thing.
nose job and they'll fix
No,
my
but I'm
voice.
saying like it's like don't like
Maybe it'll fix your nose and your
don't fix something that's like your lifeline.
I'm
you know
a
what I
real
mean?
shortcut. I agree with you, by the way. I like my voice. I don't know, man. But maybe that'd be an excellent shortcut.
But
too,
make
man.
sure that you do what the doctor says too. I don't want to.
No, I'm definitely more of a. You were just more saying when I was on the phone. You were like, I like the way you.
I wish
are.
people could see the laugh track. There's a lot of laughing going on.
Yeah.
We run a very. You were asking if we could cut things. This is the most non-PC podcast of all time.
I love it. I love it.
Actually, I'm not someone that is stays within the lines.
That's why I love it. Listen, you got to be real in this world.
Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go for it. There's
Got to
no
go. You only YOLO.
really, right? So I think
That's
whatever.
something I try and live by. I got to tell you.
One time.
One time, man. You got to follow your passions in life. You don't get a second shot. And whatever that is, if that's the serious Jewish continuity stuff we're talking about, or Israel, or advocacy, or family, or summer camps, or podcasts, or sports, or whatever your other interests are.
Yeah.
Like there's, you look back and regret is the worst thing you can do in life.
Yeah, it really is. And even this, for me, this podcast, like I do sacrifice a lot to do this. Not that I don't enjoy it, I very much do. Like I wouldn't say that, but there's a financial sacrifice because I could be sitting doing where I make my money, which is in real estate, and making more money there. And I purposely do this because, like you said, like as I was getting older, I was like 25. I'm like, I really want to do this. I was like 26. Like, I really want to do this, but I wasn't willing to. Variety of reasons. Number one, I wasn't willing to do it. Number two, at that time. Number two is that I didn't feel it was the correct time for just multiple different things were going on. I didn't necessarily have him on board. Whatever it was, there were just things. Then at 27, I'm like, I'm fucking doing this. Like this is done.
Right,
Like I'm turning 30. Like I don't have time. I got to get this in. I just turned 30. That was a sombering experience, and now this has to end now. But we're going.
No,
we're up
dude,
and running.
you're obviously onto something. You've obviously had some amazing guests, except for me, clearly. But like, this is if it's your passion, keep going for it. You know what I mean? This is
100%.
like, yeah.
Got the owner of the Marlins on my podcast. I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm doing
Correct.
pretty well. All right, everybody. Want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for this episode, Ice Shaker Incorporated. For those of you that have been following Mislaibeled, you know that we had Chris Gronkowski on. This is his company. They were on Shark Tank, offered a deal by all 5 sharks. They have sold over 1 million bottles to date. Kitchen grade stainless steel, which does not absorb odor like all plastic bottles do. If you are a workout junkie, this product is for you. Third party tested, will hold ice for 30 plus hours and keep keep your drink cold. Additionally, this is customizable for all employers for their employees and can make for a great gift for a friend. Turnaround time on custom bottles is 3 to 5 business days. To reach out to them, you can hit them via email, info@iceshaker.com. That's info at ICESHAKER.com. Or reach them by phone, 817-329-6478. Again, that's 817-329-6478. A customer rep will direct you to the correct sales department. Now back to our episode. So, Brickle, it's so funny you brought up Brickle because we were just there.
Yes, we were.
I wish they could do what they're doing in Miami, in New York. Like, I don't understand New York, why it feels like they are deliberately trying to make everyone's lives worse. No, that's how it feels. I'm not saying that like if I need to figure out how to make someone's life more annoying, I would just go to the people in those
Like, how many more tolls can we put in? How many more fines can we put in?
They're lowering the speed limit again to 20. You know that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying what
My wife could tell you my pet peeve about driving around Manhattan. The lights used to be coordinated; they're not coordinated anymore. It's all psyched.
Really?
But like you
They're
have, there on some avenues they are, and some they were way more, used to be more. But listen, I love Mayor Adams, but there's a quality of life issue that definitely needs to be fixed in Manhattan. As growing up in the city, it's not the same as it was when I was growing up. It feels less safe. It feels dirtier. It feels. It's obviously way more crowded, but that's, what are you gonna, the buildings going up everywhere. There's definitely something that needs to take place there.
Yeah. But they've been saying that for 10 years. Like, since Giuliani, I feel like we've been having the same conversation. Like, when the actual F is going to change? I feel like it's the Van Wyck. It just never is now no traffic. They're always working on it. They've been saying
Literally,
forever.
you had this joke.
It's never going to end. It's never going to end.
There's another Seinfeld line where Elaine says, nobody's ever beaten the Van Wyck before. It's like when she was trying to get to JFK.
No, but it's legit. It's actually crazy. When they finish the project, they have to start over again because the beginning of the project where they started is now too old. It's like,
correct.
Second Avenue.
By the time the project ends, we're now dealing with a whole different level of amount of cars.
Second Avenue subway it took them, like, I think 35 years or something like that to build that
ridiculous.
subway. Yeah.
Also, talk about LA, same idea. Where, first of all, Newsome, by the way, you want someone who's dangerous? I'm going to say it right here. Sorry, we'll cut this too if you need me to cut it because I don't know. The guy's dangerous, Newsome. The guy's a snake. I would never trust that guy for even 1 second. He'll say whatever the hell you want him to say.
I don't know him
and
personally.
And he built, I don't either know him personally. I don't need to.
Or
I can read people. I'm like your mom.
You know what?
I said, I'm like your mom. I can read people. I know exactly what I'm saying. He's a politician on steroids, like multiple, But the point is that they just built this. Elon Musk posted about it. They built this like railroad system or whatnot. And they spent like $90 million and they started, it goes from nowhere to nowhere.
Billion or 90 million?
Million.
Million? That's
Yeah.
a cheap. That's
Billion,
a, yeah.
billion.
No, it was
It's gotta
11
be
billion?
billion.
Was it 11?
You are running numbers right now.
No,
right?
I'm
I don't want you
serious.
owning any restaurants in Brickell.
90, 11.
No, there's a spot. They created literally a pull it up for me.
Pull it up for me.
No, I'm
We have
serious. Just
50
look.
people here, by the way, in the background. Who's advising.
They started I'm not kidding. They started
He's got a staff of 50.
They started.
Researching,
Stop giving away my secrets.
editing,
Ari.
all this
No
stuff.
giving away my secrets.
Sorry.
They started this like I don't know, a railroad train thing, supersonic speed thing.
I just like watching.
Supersonic.
I just like watching your
Super-
entire.
You know what I'm
stream of
talking about?
Sounds more like the
consciousness
Jetsons than it does LA.
Do you know what I'm talking about though? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was talking about I forgot what it's called.
This stream of consciousness is fantastic. $3 billion, and
Okay,
it goes like
that's more than 90 million. 90 million, you can't build a bus stop for $90 million.
I mean, you should be able to.
You should be able
The
to.
pier in Israel, I just saw a report came out today. You know the pier that the U.S.
Oh,
built in
yeah.
Gaza?
Oh,
230 million. It was functional for 21 days. Garbage.
Terrible. I mean, just the whole concept of that is, the aid was, a lot of it was going in. I mean, the fact that they built that pier, the Gazans attacked the pier.
Why did
then the pier fell off, and they were
Yeah.
trying to rebuild it in Israel, and then put it back in Gaza, like the whole thing. My God.
Well, yeah, but that's my point. I mean, most of these people I do actually believe are just dysfunctional people. Like they're just not good at what they do. So I don't know. Over here, they spent $3 billion on this. Like literally, it's hilarious. Elon Musk shared it because it's so funny. how it's just like a bridge that starts here and ends here, and there's no need to have a car. There's no beginning. Like normally a bridge like starts and you have to like it should maybe end. Here, I guess the way engineering wise you build a bridge is you build the middle and you connect it from both sides.
Right.
But here, there's neither side was ever connected, so it's just like a.
just the thing standing in the middle.
You'll put that on the picture. In
I'm
the
sure,
podcast.
100%. Tell me also about your great grandma, right? I see you were
Yeah,
talking
I mean,
about
it, yeah.
We were talking about that earlier.
Right before the pod, yeah.
Picture, of it's my great grandmother in Israel in like I believe it's like the 1920s or so.
1925.
1920, yeah, something like that. And the as I said, that was my grandmother's mother, and they lived on Rothschild across from my grandfather, and they used to yell at each other across the boulevard. But that's the old school picture. I mean, it's so cool to me that's
great. That's a beautiful picture.
Thank you.
Is it like repurposed? Like
Yeah, a little
you
bit.
Cleaned it up.
A little cleaned up, but it's. I mean, it still looks great.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's awesome.
Yeah,
it really is. Awesome.
and actually, is a very strong resemblance to my daughter, even. So it's even more special.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you have anything that you're into now in terms of entrepreneurship? That like any investments, any things that are like let's say not like private that like are on the down low, but anything that you're like excited about.
It's so
at the
funny.
moment?
Yeah, because I always have excited stuff like, oh, I want to start that business. But now everything is like, oh, I got to do that Jewish. So I'm actually doing I'm doing a podcast actually called Schmooze, where I'm interviewing notable Jews about their Judaism, which is going to be released soon. And I'm also doing this thing called Matched by Ari. This is like what I think about now, where I'm gonna match young Jewish girls and Jewish boys.
What happened to me?
And
him.
Oh, I didn't know. You guys definitely will be on.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll see the way that's launched soon. It's going to be a lot of fun. Only because people ask me to set them up all the time, and I want to because, as I said, Jewish
are you doing?
continuity.
It's gonna be like an app.
It's not even an app. It's just a very once a week curated interview of somebody that, I mean, do you want me to describe the whole thing?
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
Go ahead.
Matched by Ari. This is the way it is right now. By the time this is launched, I hope it's still the same. But what we're going to do is I'm going to interview somebody for about 5 minutes every Sunday. And you're going to see the interview, and then you DM me if you want to go out with that person. Okay? I'm going to show those DMs to the person that I interviewed, the potential match. They're going to choose one of the people, and I'll pay for that first date. So that they
That's
can
really
come out.
nice of you.
That they can, and the only reason I'm doing it, I just want to like.
I go out, by the way, reserve cut, and I do a hotel first date.
There you go.
I do in the city. I make sure to do what's it called, the
I'm not
baccarat,
paying for the hotel, but I'll pay for the meal.
No, I'm saying I have a room. I'm saying
I just want you to know
normally
it's
what I
not
do
part
is
of
I
this
do
thing.
reserve cut, then I get like the baccarat, like I chill heavy. It's like a $2,000 a night room.
Yeah.
But then whatever, at like 11, she goes home, and then I just chill with my boys the rest of the night.
Whatever happens, I just want to connect people on a meaningful level. And, people always ask me to to do this. So this was like a meaningful way to hopefully set up people. And, we need Jewish babies out there. We need, what's the matter with you guys?
We're doing
working-
good.
we're
Hold on a
working
second.
on it.
The Orthodox community is doing, you're saying me personally.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Trust me, my siblings are making up for anything that's not happening.
How many
over there
siblings
right
do you
now.
have?
9.
Oh, wow.
That's my mom, babe, but I'm not talking about my mom. I'm talking about my siblings. Like,
Right. How many nieces and nephews?
a lot, I would have to think right now. I don't know. They all are
I just have my 12.
married. Each one is married, let's say, roughly 10, on average, 8 years. On average, each one has 3 or 4 kids.
All right, good. That's what we need.
We're
That's
one
what
every
we
2
need.
years. I'm saying that's...
And I got 4 siblings, and we
good.
got 12.
There you go. What about you? No, there we are. We got 1 kid between the 4 of you.
What about you?
correct.
You have
That's
4?
that's 1 to 4.
You 6?
Yeah, and the other 30 people. Anyway,
Got it.
what-
That's a cool idea.
thank you.
That's
but
awesome.
it's really it's again it's just my passion right now. My passion is helping
I love that you
Jewish
wanna
people.
help. Yeah.
And so if I can help them get meet the right person, great. If I can help people be inspired by these people I interview on Schmooze, awesome. If I can post more videos of truth of what's going out there, awesome. That to me is like my new form of starting a business.
Right.
It's like starting something for
You have like
the
an
Jewish community.
entrepreneurship about Judaism.
It literally is
It's like
what I'm doing.
you're like a Jewish startup. It's like, how do we?
Ooh, I like that. I've never thought about it.
You're
But
the-
yeah,
you're
that's
the
like
Jew-
literally
you're
what I
Jewish
want to do.
startup.
Like however I can help the Jews is my new Jewish start.
I love
my
it.
new entrepreneurial venture.
Honestly, Ari, I got to say something. You're a good freaking dude.
Thank you. man.
No,
Appreciate
really,
it.
you want to do good things. I love
you.
that. That's
Appreciate
really, it's really awesome. Like,
Right back at both of
a
you.
lot of people know I do good things a lot of times for myself also, like for my own benefits. You are just like, you really know.
It's true.
You're at that place where you're just like, well, how can I help? And that's,
Listen, we all have other things we do, but yes, this is my passion. This is what I want to do, and I feel lucky to be at a place in my life where I'm able to do it in all different ways.
wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a shout out to my wife for allowing me to
Yeah.
do this
Yeah.
too, by the way, since she hasn't been mentioned yet.
When did you
also.
meet
That's what I was getting to, by the way, at the beginning with the public-private. Like, I was gonna say, like, how much of a toll does like all your advocacy and all like the publicness and all that stuff, like, God, on the wife?
Yeah, listen, I bounce a lot of stuff off of her, and she's more a behind the scenes person, and but I definitely read her the things, or I show her like
He's the legislative assistant.
she is. She's more than that, but like in the Jewish posting space, definitely is very helpful because also she's like to me the and I don't mean her being average, but she to me is the average viewer,
Right,
Because
she's
I
a
want to
normal- yeah.
see what's the reaction.
Unbiased person.
The unbiased, what's the reaction of somebody who doesn't know that happened? Is that something that's interesting to them? Is that something that they should know about, want to know about?
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and I trust her opinion.
It's funny you say that. My friends always make fun of me that, like, I have this chat with my friends, and they're like, we are the sounding board of whether
It's
or
like
not
King
what
Arthur's
I'm,
Round Table.
of whether or not
The
what
what,
I'm about
man?
to. They make fun of me that they are the sounding board of whether or not what I'm about to do is normal or not. Because I like sending, can I push this out? And they're like, you don't really care what we have to say anyways. But like sometimes we'll make sure you don't do it.
Okay, by the way, I'm the same. And so, because like as an entrepreneur, which you are also starting this, this thing, you guys, like the most important thing you have to do is believe in yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
Trust your
Because
gut.
people will tell you you're an idiot, as that person did in the private equity class,
People have told me that, by the way, plenty, and him for that
Yeah,
matter. in the last
they
2
always
years
tell
past.
us that. And but you believe in yourself and you have to have a passion and it has to make sense. And listen, you got to get lucky in life too, because whoever says luck isn't involved is
Gotta have a little mazel.
whatever. You got to have some mazel. And I'll have that. I'm going to use that as a And,
Well, God. Given that mazel.
but you work, but you have a passion, you work for it. You got to work really hard and you can create some of that luck as well.
Yeah. What's the famous line?
I think luck is consistency mixed with opportunity.
Right. When consistent.
Right,
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 that's
right,
what
right.
it is. It's
Consistency
like
meets opportunity. It's like you'll have luck.
the
Right,
famous
right,
thing. The people that have more luck are the people that work harder. Like,
Right.
there's a
Somehow
reason.
it just happens.
Yeah. Wow.
I think
And the Jews seem to work hard. You know what I mean?
We really
I feel
do,
like there's a
brother.
lot of Jews that work hard. And
I
so
think that's where a
we've
lot of
given a
the-
lot to society. We really have.
Yeah.
we try.
Do you know how many Nobel Prize winners were Jewish? What percentage?
I think 25%, right?
30%.
Yeah, right. And we're 0.2%.
I mean, think of those numbers.
It's stupid.
The amazing stuff that Jews have contributed to this world in all different fields. I'm very proud to be
You're another
Jewish.
one of those, clearly, at this point.
We were a little.
When did you meet your
I'm
wife?
not a Nobel Prize winner.
Yeah, but you're another person that's contributed a lot.
Thank you.
It's,
Thank you. As are you.
Well, not yet. I think I have my work still, but I'm on my way. When did you meet your wife? How long ago?
We met about, it's maybe 11 years ago now. 11 years ago.
Really nice.
At the American Cancer Society Gala.
Hell of a place to meet.
Yeah. It was the after party. And, I was like, I was walking around.
Well, he's like in his mind. He's like,
I'm mixing cancer and a party.
No,
and
it was it was a gala.
Yeah,
Right, it's a gala.
American Cancer Society Gala. You just support the cause, and then there was
One of those.
I already know what you're
there was
thinking
the
about.
schmoozing afterwards and stuff like that. And the first line, I said to her like, what's your name? Are you Jewish? Okay, I was like, how do I not know you? You know what I mean? So that was the first thing I wanted to
Wow.
know to make sure she was Jewish.
Yeah.
We still still joke about it. And it was Simchas Torah that night, and I took her to a Simchas Torah party actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's a hell of
And
a
she
way.
stayed with me, and she's grew up conservative, but she enjoyed that as well.
That's how you know. If you could go from a first date to some close Torah party, then the person's for you. That's what I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And
From
unfortunately,
cancer to Simchas Torah, Ari
Yeah.
Ackerman's love story.
well, it wasn't cancer. It was like we
was
were
helping.
supporting the cause.
Yes.
Yeah,
He's not.
he's lost in that.
By the way, he's off his can. When he gets going, one
lost
of his
in that.
things.
Totally lost.
When
in
he
that.
gets going, he's also thinking about a very specific thing in our life that we did. He's gonna say
we did a fundraiser also.
We did a
did?
fundraiser when we were very young. For
Is
kids
this something you
for
want
kids
people
with
to know
cancer.
about?
They know about it. We've
There's
talked
nothing that
about it.
I also don't really. We did a fundraiser for kids with cancer, and it was when we were breaking out of the yeshiva world. So we are trying to get a lot of women to come, like girls.
You gotta do it for the right reasons.
Just saying,
We
we
did
did.
it. We did it for the
We
right
were
reason.
raising money. We raised money,
Okay.
and it was beer pong. It was a beer pong event.
That's nothing wrong with that.
I agree. So, but he thinks it's funny because of the fact.
It's just all the idea.
What ended up happening is that we didn't make any money. That's really what happened. Everyone was just drunk.
Got it. Well, I implore you to go raise some money for cancer research or whatever, because to make up for this
I think
beer
we owe
pong
double
situation-
on that, by the way. We owe double to make up for it. Yeah,
Exactly.
We do.
I
Exactly.
mean, I lost money, bro. I forgot
No,
I
but we
tried.
need to give more.
We're going to. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. Listen, Baruch Hashem, give tzedakah. Tzedakah is an important thing, charity.
Absolutely.
And you're a big philanthropist in general. So definitely what to learn from on that front. I think we're good here,
Yeah.
Ari. Honestly, like
Anything
I've asked
else?
what was on my mind.
Thank you guys for coming to the Hamptons. This is like
I honestly, I so badly did not want to come here. I was hoping to go to Brooklyn today and just sit on the BQE. This was tough, man.
It's a real tough place to be right now.
listen, I didn't have to make a trek except from downstairs to
But
We
no,
always ask one last question.
Oh, for sure, yes. This is, I'm actually.
and
there's no
our
lightning
po-
round of like 10 questions like that.
So sometimes we do that, but I feel like the entire podcast was a lightning round of you,
Yeah, that's
right?
fine. That's fine.
So, but we always ask, like, the podcast is called Mislaibeled, right? Obviously, in our lives, we felt like one of the reasons that we've had this is we like to have people on, and then there's always something going on behind the scenes with people that people don't know about, or there's sometimes people feel mislabeled. Is there any way in your life, throughout your life, obviously you have the story, but when you were an entrepreneur, startup, and like people didn't believe in you, but is there anything about you nowadays, or even from when you were a kid, that you feel mislabeled, that you feel like you're trying to
clarify to the
clarify
universe.
to the world that this is Ari Ackerman?
You know, I think because I'm so out there right now, like, and you see what my authentic passions are in terms of the Jewish people, like that's, you know, it's hard to mislabel me at this point. You know what I mean? I always get confused when people start unfollowing me on Instagram at this point. It's like, you know who I am right now, right? I mean, you know I'm a passionate Israel supporter and a passionate Jew, and I love my family and all this stuff. So, like, how are you mislabeling me that's, you know, I'm not interesting to you anymore?
Right.
But I think when you have lots of different passions, which I think I do, you know, including sports and, you know, all this stuff, people are like, oh, that's who you are. You know, you joked earlier about you have video games downstairs and stuff like that. And that's almost like, you know, that's, you know, my mom had this great expression that life is a series of little lives. And it's almost like life is a series of little moments also. And also life is a series of different passions. And it's like who you are as a totality is, I think, a better representation of saying that, oh, you're a video game guy, you're a camp guy, or you're like a, you know, even only a Jewish advocate, because although I think I'm other things as well, although that's, aside from family, is number one right now. So I think we're all a mixed mash of lots of different things. And when somebody labels you only one thing, I think it doesn't do justice to your whole being.
I hear that.
you go.
I hear that 100%. I would just, in this scenario, I mean, I wonder if you feel at all that people think like you're, you know, the people that are like, oh, because of the fact you're such a strong Jewish advocate and defend Israel, therefore you know, I don't know, maybe you know, hate Palestinians or hate other good people that are not like, you know,
That's
is that something that you feel like is
I'm so
misunderstood?
glad you said that. Yeah, because maybe that is misunderstood. And somebody even said that to me recently. And you know, you get all sorts of hate.
Of course, they're
DMs
like, you
that.
are happy,
Oh,
you
you
want
don't.
to kill
You
everyone.
like it when babies are killed, and I'm like, well, first of all, let's talk about the real numbers. But you know, our innocent people are getting killed, and that is a tragedy.
Right.
I say that wholeheartedly with every being of my soul. Like, we don't want anybody to die. Nobody, you know, no innocent life should be lost on the Palestinian side or the Israeli side. You know, and I really strongly believe that, and it hurts me when anybody, you know, is hurt. Like I'm a Pisces. I'm a very sensitive guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, it's like that's the only thing I know about Pisces, actually, that we're sensitive and we're fish or whatever. But like to me, like I hate suffering. I hate it. I would do anything to prevent suffering on any side. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Yeah. No, because I could see how exactly what you're doing could very easily lead to that. Because
Absolutely.
that's all you hear all day is like, no, I'm not happy
Right.
for Palestinians to die I'm happy for Hamas to die, but that I'm happy to say, but like regular innocent people, like, no, I'm not happy just because I feel that like Israel should defend themselves. Nope. Still does
Right.
not therefore mean, you know,
Two
that
things can be true at the same time.
100%. So, it's, you know, I think, you know, when we're in this particular space, that, you know, that's a very misunderstood thing and it hurts when people, you know, just consistently want to make you out to be some sort of like bad human being.
It does hurt. It does hurt. And you know, I talked about my grandfather. He was a civil rights leader. He was friends with Martin Luther King.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he's written a book, and he's in his book, and Martin Luther King talks about my grandfather, and
Weird.
Yeah, and so like, and so it's passed down to me as well. Like, I'm a supporter of gay rights and African American and Black rights and you name it. You know, I want everybody to be who they want to be.
Hamas is also supporting gay rights, Eric.
Yeah. I mean, that to me is a whole confusing thing, how that the LGBT community doesn't understand that they would not be welcome in the Hamas Gaza world. But that to me is very confusing, because I'm a supporter of their rights. I'm a supporter of them doing anything they want to do and being the person they want to be.
Of course.
And that's been passed down from generation to generation from my grandfather and my mother as well. It's not just the Jewish aspect. It's that the people living the way they want to live in a free and a beautiful way.
I was gonna end this, but I got to hear that last point, because this is your grandfather was friends with Martin Luther.
Was a supporter of his, not just friends, was a supporter of his. My grandfather, one of my grandfather's last birthdays was in Israel. He was 92, 93 years old. Martin Luther King Jr. flew to Israel to present my grandfather with a gift, a beautiful picture of him and his father and my grandfather.
They have pictures together, I assume?
They have stuff together. They have there's a whole piece in the book about what my grandfather did, why Martin Luther King was so grateful for him or appreciated what he did. Was he was the first business leader in the South to desegregate his cafes in a very difficult time in a very difficult place.
Wow.
And he basically had made the decision as a Jew, an immigrant to this country, that what was being done to that community, the Black community in the South, was awful as well. And he didn't want to be a part of it. And he thought it was just wrong to have segregated cafes in these five and dime stores that he owned in the South.
Wow.
And so he made that incredibly brave, amazing decision to do that. It's almost similar to what we're talking about now, like, you know, to stand up for what you believe is right when you will lose customers, when you will lose clients or followers or whatever the case may be.
That's crazy.
So
I'd
proud
love to
of
see
him.
some of those pictures.
Yeah.
If you could show me. If I could include them here also, that'd be incredible. I'd love to see that. Okay, Ari, thank you so much for coming on. Really,
Thank you.
what are your
Great
plugs
work.
again?
Follow me on Instagram.
What is it? What's your handle?
It's Ari Ackerman without the M-A-N. So it's ARIACKER. Only so that you can share the stuff that I do, so people see the truth, and, you know, we hopefully can help the Jewish people and people everywhere.
And if you're single, he will be sitting down with you on Sunday coming up.
Matched
and if
by
you're
Ari.
a Miami
Matched by
Marlins,
Ari.
if you're a baseball fan, please go to Miami Marlins game to support.
Please buy season tickets,
Exactly.
even suites if you'd like.
Hey, you're welcome to chip in. Heavily you could pay for the next player signing. Figure things out.
You could use some good free agents.
Exactly. Okay, fine. Thank you guys for watching. God willing, next week another amazing episode. Peace and love.